What's up, guys? In today's video I want to talk about some of my favorite things to do, which is reading. I think this is the number one thing to improve your skills, your knowledge, and it's the best way for personal growth. So I learned a lot of things from reading. I think it's still therefore very important, and nowadays there are many different ways to read books. You can just use physical books for reading, but nowadays we also have modern techniques, so we are able to also read from our phones. So from an LED screen we are able to use the Kindle to read from this, or finally we are also nowadays able to read from audiobooks. So therefore there are many different ways. Of course we all want to save time, energy, money to be most sufficient. So in this video I want to compare these four different ways of reading in terms of cost, convenience, reading experience, and also taking notes. And hopefully at the end we can figure out what is the best way to read, so that at the end you enjoy reading more, you're feeling like you're able to read more stuff, being more productive, and also save probably a lot of money. So that being said, let's get started. First of all, I want to talk about physical books. In my opinion, physical books are really great in terms of reading experience. I think there's nothing nicer than holding a book in your hands. The aesthetics is amazing, and also the smell of a book is just incredible. In my opinion, this also brings a lot of memories from childhood back. So for me, I oftentimes think about the time then when I was a kid reading Harry Potter, which was one of my favorite books back then. And reading this book was so much fun. And whenever I hold a fresh, new, good smelling book in my hand, that really reminds me of this great experience. So in terms of reading experience, I really think that physical books are just the best. It's not possible to beat them. So therefore I would give them a rating of a 10 out of 10. In terms of costs, books are in a quite okay range of prices. You can get books for sometimes even €5. Usually they cost a bit more than 10, 20 up to €30, I would say. You can get them easily on Amazon and also on many other homepages. Or you can also go to a bookstore, which I find really fun and entertaining, to walk through all these great new books, bestsellers, see what's out there new. And I also enjoy that. In terms of cost, I think there are quite cheap books available. You can get books for already €5 sometimes. Oftentimes, of course, they are a bit more pricey, usually a bit more than €10, up to 20 or 30 euros. However, in total, I find the range for books prices also quite okay. I would give that like maybe a 8 out of 10 for pricing. You can get them also in a library quite cheap, where you can borrow them for little money. And furthermore, I also enjoy walking into bookstores, where you can just take a look of brand new books, bestsellers. There's so much to figure out whenever you're in a bookstore. There's something new to explore, and I also really enjoy that about physical books. In terms of convenience, I think they are not that great. I would give them maybe a 2 out of 10. That's quite understandable. I mean, a book is heavy. You always have to carry it around in a bag. It makes it quite difficult if you really want to carry more than one, maybe 3 or 4 books. That makes life already really difficult. Also in terms of holding a book, reading a book, this can be sometimes quite heavy. if you read a book with more than 1,000 pages, like the biography of Warren Buffett, for example, which I'm reading at the moment, it can make life really, really more difficult to hold this heavy book all the time in your hands. Furthermore, when you put them in the bag, they can also get damaged quite easily. The paper gets a bit destroyed, and so therefore I would rate that not so good in terms of convenience. And finally, if we talk about taking notes, I also think this is not too bad. Actually, you are able to mark things while you're reading the book. You're also able to write something inside the book if you want to, maybe with a pencil. And therefore, I think that's not too bad. And I would give that a rating of 6 out of 10. All in all, I think physical books are a great option. Just the aesthetics are unbeatable. And also, in my opinion, I think reading from physical books is the way you can understand and memorize the most. That's also what studies kind of suggest. Second, I want to talk about the Kindle. And here is where we're talking about the new technologies. Back in the days, we've already been able to read physical books for hundreds of years, but since a couple of years, we are now able to use more modern technologies like this one to read books. I know for many people, this is probably the preferred, the most enjoyable way and most efficient way to read books, and I can totally understand it. I mean, in terms of convenience, this is really hard to beat in my opinion. I think it's nearly impossible to beat, because when you buy this Kindle, you're just holding a whole library in your hand. You're just able to buy every book that you're interested immediately, and after a few minutes you're able to already start. So when you heard about this great brand new book that's just out right now, or that you're curious about, you can just start reading, and you do not have to wait until it's sent from Amazon, or you do not have to go to a bookstore to buy it. So therefore you save a lot of time. Furthermore, it's also quite nice to hold this in your hand. It's a nice way to start reading. It's really no friction. So therefore, I would give that really a 10 out of 10 for convenience. In terms of reading experience, I would rate that with maybe a 6 out of 10. I think it is not as nice as holding a really new, nice smelling physical book in your hand. However, it's getting closer to a real book than actually looking to a LED screen. The light is a bit softer and more convenient. So therefore, I would give that a bit less points than a physical book, but definitely see it better than looking at a LED screen. In terms of costs, I also think this is quite a good way to invest your money. So of course, first of all, you have the extra cost of purchasing this Kindle. I bought this Kindle Paperwhite on Amazon, cost about 120 euro. So that's an additional cost you do not have otherwise with a book or LED screen. However, the books that you buy are usually about the same price than a physical book. However, oftentimes you are also able to get a discount. So I would argue that actually in the long term, this is probably even cheaper than buying physical books, because of the reduced prices oftentimes. So if you're reading hundreds, 200s, or even more books after many years, I would argue that this is probably not more expensive, and I would even think you probably save money. So I would give that 8 out of 10 in terms of cost. Finally, if we look at the note-taking, I think this is probably the best way for taking notes. You're really easily able to mark things on the Kindle. And with some kind of ways like Readwise and Notion, you're also able to kind of export these notes to your Notion account, for example. So therefore, you're able to save all these notes quite easily on your computer in a really convenient and easy way. So therefore, I would give that a rating 9 out of 10, and it's probably much easier and enjoyable than taking notes on a physical book, for example. Yeah, all in all, I think for many people, like I said before, this is a great way and the preferred way compared to a physical book. And I can definitely understand it. Third, I want to talk about the reading tech of using a LED screen from like an iPhone or a laptop, for example. I think this has also a lot of great benefits if you compare it to the other devices. So in terms of convenience, I think this is also nearly unbeatable. It's probably even a bit better than the Kindle, because nowadays everybody has a phone and you can just take it out of your pockets and start to read immediately with the Kindle reader, for example. So therefore, I would give that probably a 10 out of 10 in terms of convenience. If you look at the costs, it's also not so expensive in my opinion. Yeah, nowadays everybody has a phone, so you do not have to pay extra money for this. Also compared to a Kindle, in terms of costs for the books, it's probably the same like for the Kindle, because that's the same way how you get the books. It's at least the same price like physical books, and oftentimes through discounts you can get even cheaper prices. So in terms of costs, I would give that a 9 out of 10. And therefore, this is probably so far the highest ranking. In terms of taking notes, this is also even easier than with the Kindle. Here you're also able to highlight parts of the books super easy. You're able to export them also into your Notion account, for example, easily. And also taking notes is, if you want to add something to your marked area, is even easier than with the Kindle. With the Kindle, this is a bit slow, but with the phone, of course, typing stuff works perfect. Yeah, I mean, this is designed by Apple, one of the greatest company, so they do a fantastic job, and the LED screen really works fantastic. So I would also give that, in terms of note taking, probably a 9 out of 10. And if we look at these three categories, probably the LED screen is on top so far compared to physical books and the Kindle. However, I actually do not like this way to read so much, and that is because of the term of reading experience. I think reading from an LED screen is really the worst way and the most uncomfortable way to read books. I mean, it's really hard and annoying to look into LED lights, and if I imagine I read a book for hours from this light, that really sounds like a nightmare, and it really has no chance compared to reading from a physical book, which is like unbeatable, but also cannot compete with reading from a Kindle. So in terms of LED light, I would give that really a 1 out of 10. And because of the fact that we are surrounded by LED screens where we look at all the time, it's really something that you want and should try to avoid. Reading books is something really relaxing, enjoyable, something you also like to do maybe in the evening. So I think avoiding LED light is the main goal that we should have, and therefore I also think is something that has no chance compared to the first method I talked about. Finally, I want to talk about audiobooks. So this is also one of the newer methods to consume a book. In terms of convenience, I would give that a 7 out of 10. I think it's quite enjoyable, easy to start listening to a book. You just need to have an app where you download this book, and then you need to put in the AirPods, and then you can automatically start listening to it. So it's quite easy to download the book, to start listening. However, you still need to have the AirPods in your ear, which makes it a bit less convenient than maybe reading from a screen or from the Kindle. However, I still find it's quite easy going. You don't have to carry a book around. You can just use your phone and the AirPods. In terms of costs, I think is actually quite expensive. Oftentimes it's the same like physical books or even a bit higher price. Of course, you can get also some kind of subscriptions. However, here you're only able to listen to maybe 1 or 2 books per month. So therefore, it's not really easy to save so much money. So in terms of cost, I would give that maybe a 4 out of 10. And if we look at the reading experience, I actually find this not so nice. Of course, it's a bit enjoyable that you're able to change the speed, so you can listen to an audiobook in double speed, and then you're able to consume it faster, which is a pro. However, what makes it difficult, in my opinion, is to actually memorize and understand what the person is telling you. So I find it oftentimes not so easygoing to follow everything, and therefore I have to listen to it a couple of times to really understand it and memorize it. So therefore, this is really a more difficult way, actually, in my opinion, to listen to books. Therefore, in terms of reading experience, I would give that maybe a 5 out of 10. And finally, if we look at the possibility to take notes, I find this actually quite hard. It's not really easy to take notes with this method. So therefore, I would just give that a rating of 1 out of 10. Finally, I want to talk about my final thoughts. So I personally think there is no perfect way to read books. Maybe some people say they like physical books. Some say they prefer reading with a Kindle or with a LED screen. I think honestly there is no perfect way. Every way has pros and cons, and I would suggest that probably the combination of these methods is really the best way. Yeah. I also think you shouldn't worry too much about what is the best way. Just give it a try, see what works for you. So my preferred way to read books, for example, is using physical books. I just really like the aesthetics of them. So when I'm at home, I usually like to read a physical book. However, that doesn't mean that I would never use the Kindle. Of course, I also enjoy using the Kindle, especially when I'm on vacation. I usually use this. Also when I have really a heavy big book, sometimes I also prefer using this one instead of holding this 1000 page book in my hand all the time. So I oftentimes switch in between, and I think that is also the best way to handle it. Sometimes it's also nice to listen to an audiobook. However, I usually prefer to only do that with podcasts or interviews where I can increase the speed and where I do not have the need of taking so many notes like in a book. So therefore I would probably exclude audiobooks a bit here. And furthermore, I also do not enjoy reading from LED screens books usually. However, I still use LEDs in terms of taking notes. So when I'm reading a physical book, for example, or after I've read a physical book, I would usually also use a laptop to take notes or write a summary of the book, so I can reread my summary in the future when I'm curious again about this book. Yeah, guys, these were my thoughts about the different ways of reading books nowadays. I hope you enjoyed this content, and maybe this also helped you to think about new ways and better ways to read more, and also, of course, especially enjoy reading. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in also, maybe finding out about what the book Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal is about, check out the video up here. If you're interested in seeing my favorite lessons from the book The Diary of CEO by Stephen Bartlett, check out the video down here. Thank you so much for watching. Also feel free to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content, and see you in the next video.